into the Triple Threat Show. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is a beautiful Wednesday, November 26th. The new college football rankings are out. We'll talk about what they did wrong, what they did right. NFL Power Rankings Top 10 here for you on a beautiful Wednesday as always. And happy Thanksgiving. We are not on tomorrow. We will potentially be back on Friday. Unsure about that. We'll play that one by ear. But this is a big weekend of football. 3 games on Thursday, some with huge playoff implications. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything else from around the world of sports coming up in a second. But I am not here alone today. Today, I am joined by my friend and co-host, Mehrob Fatemi from the car. He is here to talk some sports with us. We're going to start off, as we always do on Tuesdays, ever since the new rankings have been released, with going over those new college football playoff rankings. The college football playoffs, of course, comes out every single Tuesday night, and this new committee has shined light on the way that they have been ranking, which is interesting, but at the same time, it's a problem. Now, overall with their list, do I have a massive problem? No, probably not. The biggest movement on their list is Oregon jumping over Ole Miss, which I also have them doing this week. Ole Miss, I just think's resume does not quite add up to a lot of those top teams. They've won a lot of games, but they have not been that dominant team in a lot of these games. So that is something to look at as well. But the big quote that I heard from the ranking show that stuck with me when they went to a reporter who was inside of the room with the ranking, she said, Notre Dame and Miami, the big contentious one, the one that has been argued about over and over and over again throughout this entire process. Notre Dame lost to Miami head-to-head, but Notre Dame's looked better. But Notre Dame has the better strength of record. Notre Dame, blah, 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 blah. She said they're in the same group. She said that they are comparing them, but this committee really values the eye test, which is interesting. And you know what? I don't necessarily mind that they're going with the eye test, right? This is something that is important, right? This is something that you have to say, I want the best teams in. But at the same time, you need to be able to take a look objectively because they're not watching all the games. They're not watching all the games. You can do the eye test. Sure, that's fine. I respect that. Do the eye test a little bit. But if you're going to use the eye test as your number one main metric, you have to watch the football games. All of them. That doesn't just mean Power Conference. That doesn't just mean the SEC and the Big Ten. That means watching all the ACC games. That means watching all the Big 12 games. That means watching all of the Group of 5 games. If you're going by eye test, why is Tulane up there still? Why? I don't understand. If you're going by eye test, why is Virginia ranked in the top 20? If you're going by eye test, why is Georgia Tech still ranked? There are a lot of things wrong with this ranking. And again, I want to make this clear. I don't hate the fact that they're doing an eye test. I don't mind for tiebreakers when these two resumes are close, that you say, this team to me looks like the better team. This team, to me, I think, could beat more teams than this other team. But when you are comparing directly, two teams that have played each other, in Miami and Notre Dame, as reports from the committee room have said, they're in the same pod. You have to respect head-to-head. You have to respect head-to-head. You cannot make that game meaningless. And I have been on the bandwagon of Notre Dame's a better team this whole time. That's fine. I have been on the bandwagon that I think Miami has a worse resume than Alabama does right now, since Alabama has beaten Georgia. But if you're comparing all of these teams in the same group, you have to put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. If they're not in the same group and your reasoning is we have Notre Dame ahead of Alabama and we can't put Miami ahead of Alabama, sure, that's fine. That's fine. But if you're going off of the eye test, how about you use the game that actually mattered? How about you use the actual result that took place in these games? It's incredibly important that you get these right, not just for the fan experience, not just for the integrity of the sport, but because so much money is in this. Do you know how much money it is for the ACC once they get into the playoffs? It's $4 million for winning their conference champion, and it's $8 million to get into the playoffs. That can do wonders for an athletic program, for a school as a whole. $8 million for getting in the playoffs. And you're going to decide who gets in the playoffs over an eye test? Over an eye test? That's ridiculous. Use the resumes. Compare them. Contrast them. This is not the final rankings, which in my mind makes me feel a little bit better. And again, I don't mind these rankings as a whole. The big move, Oregon jumping over Ole Miss, that's fine. They're there at number 6. I don't hate that at all. Miami still moving up ahead of Utah. I like that move. BYU still ahead of Miami with that one loss to Texas Tech. I respect that. That is a good spot for them to be. I still think Alabama should be ahead of Notre Dame, but that wasn't how it was last week, and Notre Dame just put up 70 points, so that's just a minor disagreement. But again, if your number one key is the eye test, that's unacceptable. You have to use that as a tiebreaker, not as the number one key. But that's what's going on with the top 25. Ohio State still at 1. The top 4 remain the same. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia. So does number 5, Texas Tech. The big switch in the top 10. Oregon jumps Ole Miss. That's 6 and 7 switch. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama stay put at 8 through 10. The group of 5 representative remains Tulane. If they slip up, that's when things are going to get interesting. It seems as if the American Conference champion is going to be that representative, as much as I think they're wrong for that. USC wasn't punished too much. They only fall 2 spots for their loss. Texas is still hanging around at number 16, and Michigan slides all the way up to 15. A win against Ohio State in rivalry week this week. They are in the college football playoffs, I firmly believe. That is what's going on. Shout out to Arizona. They deserve to be ranked. Shout out to them. A ranked matchup between them and Arizona State this week in their rivalry game. We are going to switch it up here, though. The college football playoff top 25 is here, and we'll continue to reference it throughout the week. It's not a bad list. It's not a great list, but we do have some other sports to talk about here today. The NFL is king here on a Wednesday at the Triple Threat Show. Every single Wednesday, we go over the power rankings in the NFL, and we have a good one for you. There have been a lot of shakeups in the top 10. You take a look at where the top 10 was last week compared to where it is now. You have losses from the number 2 team, the number 5 team, the number 6 team, and the number 8 team, right? These are all teams in the top 10 that lost this week. So shakeups in the top 10 are here, and I cannot wait for you to see. We're going to start off strong at number 10. But before I do, let's give a couple of honorable mentions to the teams that missed. The Cowboys just missed, but they're playing great football right now. The Dallas Cowboys, their defense quietly is really good. It's really good. Like, let's talk about it. You go and get Quinnen Williams at the trade deadline, but not only that, you trade for a linebacker from the Cincinnati Bengals, and crucially, you get players back from injury. Rookie Siobhan Revell comes off of a torn ACL. He is going to be really good. I'm a big fan of his coming out of ECU. You get Overshown back, who's one of their best pass rushers, and you can tell the difference that he has made all around the field. This unit is playing for Marshawn Nealand, who tragically took his own life over the bye week, which is just more motivation for them. Everyone on that Cowboys team is playing great football right now, and don't look now, but they're firmly in that playoff race. They're not quite in the top 10, but the Cowboys deserve an honorable mention for how they're playing right now. The Bears also deserve an honorable mention. They also not in the top 10, but they are winning football games, and they're winning a lot of football games. 7 in a row, in fact, for the Chicago Bears here. They are winning it, not convincingly, but they are winning games. And Caleb Williams is taking this team to new heights. Team of destiny kind of vibes over with the Bears. The last team that I wanted to shout out is the Denver Broncos. They're still not in my top 10, Mehrob. After a bye week, I didn't move them. That's fine. I feel very fine with that. By a couple teams, I mean one team moved ahead of them. There are a couple of things that I need to see the Broncos do in order for them to be in the top 10. They're a great team. They've won a lot of games. But I need to see them play a full game of football before I move them into the top 10. Real quick, before we get into the top 10, question from the chat. They're asking, would you trade away Javonte, Franklin, and Bowers to get Jonathan Taylor, Sutton, and Oronde Gadsden right now? His running backs, Mehrob, Kyron, Jacobs, Javonte, Wilson, the backup for Josh Jacobs, Blake Corum. Chris Carson, where'd he come from? Tootin, and his wide receivers are JSM, Lamb, Franklin, Watson, Godwin, Reed is on IR. What do you think here, Mehrob? You taking this deal?
That's a God squad. Yeah, I mean, I guess for the tight end stack, but just for the tight end overpower. But, I mean, that sounds like a super team. You got a good wide receiver core. You got a good running back core. Jacobs will be back. You just got to, I would say hold off on that just because I think your team is in a good spot. I wouldn't mess up the chemistry there.
I do it. I'm a big fan of that trade. If you look at the positional value right away, you're going from Javonte to Jonathan Taylor. That's a big win right there. You're going from Franklin to Courtland Sutton. I'm counting that as a win right there, even though they're on the same team. I think Sutton's pretty clearly the wide receiver one over there. You do lose out Bowers to Oronde Gadsden, but, I mean, you're getting Jonathan Taylor out of this deal. I think that's worth the downgrade at tight end. Unless you don't trust Gadsden, I wouldn't do it. If you think Gadsden's going to be able to put up 8 to 12 points a week, I would do that. Otherwise, I would hold off on that trade. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Let's move into the top 10 here, though. The top 10 for the NFL Power Rankings, making their first appearance since week 3 of our Power Rankings. It's the Houston Texans. Welcome back to the top 10. That defense, elite. That offense is good enough. That Houston Texans team, absolutely playing great football right now. They are here at number 10. The Packers crawl back into the top 10 for the first time in a few weeks after a big win last weekend. The Packers up to number 9. I'm a big fan of the way that defense plays. That defense is electric. Micah Parsons is doing things no Packer has done since before COVID. Long time since the Packers have seen a defender that good, and it doesn't even matter because that offense is getting healthier. They are getting back Josh Jacobs for a Thursday night football matchup. They are getting back they're getting back Reed soon. His 21-day practice window is open. And when he comes back, he is going to be a huge, huge piece of that team. The Packers absolutely deserve to be back into this conversation, this contending conversation, and this top 10 conversation. The Seahawks drop a few spots after a tough win against the Titans. I wanted to see them win a couple. Excuse me, I'm reading this wrong. I apologize. I've got the Colts at number 8. The Colts, after a tough loss to the Chiefs, game that they kind of blew there at the end. This is a good Colts team. But I don't know if this is a Colts team that has what it takes to make a deep run in the playoffs. They feel a little bit like that Vikings team of old. Jonathan Taylor, really good. But when they can't get that run game going, when they struggle to get that run game started, that is when you start to see this Colts team having to rely on Daniel Jones a little bit more. He gets sped up by the pressure, and it causes all sorts of problems with this team. At number 7, I have got the team that just beat them, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs back here at number 7. They continue to crawl their way back towards the top. Every game from now on for them, an elimination game. The Chiefs can miss the playoffs. The Chiefs might miss the playoffs. Let's take a look at their schedule down the stretch here, right? The Chiefs now 6-5 on this season, finish off the year with the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. That's going to be an elimination game most likely for both of them. The Texans on Sunday Night Football, also probably going to be an elimination game for both of those teams. The Chargers, a division game, that's really important. The Titans, we can count that as a win. The Broncos, who took care of them last time they played, this one is in Arrowhead on Christmas. And the Raiders in Week 18. So I'm seeing minimum 2 more wins. That is the worst case scenario for them, right? That's worst case scenario for them. They're probably going to get more than 2 wins. If I'm looking at their schedule right now, I'm counting probably 3 or 4 wins right now, depending on how this Thanksgiving game goes against the Cowboys. They are red hot, but you can never really tell. This is a dangerous spot for the Chiefs. It's a dangerous spot for a lot of AFC contenders. The Bills might miss the playoffs as well. Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, Browns, Eagles, Jets. That's 2, 3, 3.5 wins right there for the Bills. They're looking a little bit easier than the Chiefs are right now, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to get into a wild card spot when it seems it's going to take about 10 wins to get into the playoffs on either side of the bracket right now. Going to be really interesting to see how this plays out the rest of the way. The Seahawks here at number 6, they rise a couple spots, win over the Titans. It wasn't as convincing as I thought it was going to be, but it didn't need to be because they went all out in that first half. That game was over after that JSN touchdown. He went for a huge day, nearly 200 yards on the day. He is on pace for 2,000 receiving yards is JSN. He is having an incredible season, one for the ages, and there's really nobody that's in his stratosphere right now when it comes to wide receivers, at least this season. At number 5, welcome back to the Baltimore Ravens. I know. They just beat the Jets. That's fine. They only moved up 2 spots here. The Ravens, very good at football. Lamar Jackson dealing with an injury, but it hasn't hurt them enough where they are in big trouble, where they are losing these games. Derrick Henry is carrying the load good enough that he is keeping this team alive. That defense is playing really good again, and there's a lot to like from this Ravens squad. This is a Ravens team that, again, playing their best football, is on a win streak right now. They still have a couple games left against the Steelers. There's places for them to go, and the answer is up, most likely not down. At number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. We've had this complaint before. We've had this conversation before, Mehrob. Where are the Eagles supposed to be ranked? Because the Eagles are really good. Like, undoubtedly, they're really good. You can't look at that team, the way that they play, and say this is not a good team. but also they can never put together a full game of football. This is the issue with the Broncos, right? This is why the Broncos can't be in the top 10, because they can't put together a full game of football. The Eagles just won a Super Bowl, though, so they are allowed to be in the top 10. They have a lot of really good players, a lot of great players on paper. That defense plays elite a lot of times. Again, kind of like the Broncos, but I'm not giving that team enough respect. I'm not giving this team too much respect. The Eagles are here at number 4. At number 3, we are going with the New England Patriots. Oh my goodness. The Patriots all the way up to number 3. Drake May on his MVP stuff right now. He is playing amazing football. This Patriots squad is playing great. They still have cupcake schedule throughout the rest of the year, so I expect them to win that division, clean up shop, maybe even go for that number 1 seed in the AFC. At number 2, though, it's Detroit. The Lions all the way back up here. Wow. Scary, scary game against the New York Giants, but they escape it in overtime. Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 touchdowns on the day, nearly 200 scrimmage yards for him on the day. He had an elite day on Sunday. The Giants fired defensive coordinator Shane Bowen. Let's go. Finally, it happened. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. The Lions, up to number 2, they're the second best team in football. But to no one's surprise, the Los Angeles Rams, 4 weeks running, the number 1 team in football. This has been consistently the highest ranked team. They have not been ranked lower than number 6. They haven't been outside of the top 5 since week 1 in our power rankings, but they are here claiming that number 1 spot. Matthew Stafford playing like the MVP right now. 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 27 straight touchdowns without an interception. He's been playing amazing football. This Rams team with that defense is elite. Shout out to Emmanuel Forbes. We gave him a shout out last week, but a double shout out to Emmanuel Forbes for reviving his career. He was a bust in Washington. I didn't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole, and yet the Rams find this first-round talent on the street, and they turn him into an elite corner. He is doing things we have not seen in a very, very long time anywhere in the NFL. Shout out to Emmanuel Forbes. He deserves all the success he's having. That's why you see all these teams take chances on former first-round picks, right? That's why you see guys like Treylon Burks still being able to find homes in the NFL. There are plenty of teams that you just get the right system in place, you get the right people with them, they are going to shine. Change of scenery can do wonders for you as a young player. But that's the top 10 list for you. At number 10, again, I'll run through it. Texans, the 9 team are the Packers. The Colts at number 8. The Seahawks. No, the Colts at number 8. The Chiefs at number 7. The Seahawks at number 6. The Ravens at number 5. Eagles at 4. Patriots at 3. Lions at 2. And the Los Angeles Rams are here at number 1. Mehrob, what do you think of the NFL top 10? You got any criticisms for me? What's your view on how the top of the NFL looks right now?
I think it's a good list. I still think the Broncos need to find a way in there. I would be fine dropping the Texans just down 1 and putting the Broncos at 10 or 9. But, I mean, it's a good list. It's a good list from top down. I like the placement of the Rams. I like the top 5 specifically. I really like the top 5. I'm happy that you dropped the Eagles out of that top 10 because, I mean, when you blow a 21-0 lead, it's pretty hard to justify putting you in the top 10 list after that. But I did really like this list. Great list, A-plus list. I just still can't stand with the Broncos hate just because I still believe. I'm a Bo Nix believer. I'm still a Bo believer.
I
still
believes.
think this Broncos team can get it done.
He believes. I do not believe, which is probably why we are so on the opposite spectrums of this. I'm going to go to the bottom 5 real quick because there's a couple things I want to shout out here. The bottom 5 teams in the NFL, the Giants at number 28, they fire Shane Bowen. Good move. A+ move for the Giants there. They keep blowing leads. They'd probably be in the top 15 if they didn't blow any leads this season, and we'd be talking about this season a whole lot differently. Brian Daboll would still be here. The Browns at 29 on my ranking. Shout out to Myles Garrett. He's going to not just break, but shatter the single season sack record he has in the last 3 weeks of NFL football. Just in the last 3 weeks of NFL football, 12 sacks. Oh my God, Myles Garrett. They're double teaming him.
Yeah.
And he has 12 sacks. Oh my God. Best player in the not history, but the best defensive player on the planet by a pretty wide margin. The only person that comes close, Micah Parsons, but he's not even that close. At number 30, the Raiders. They also fire a coordinator. It's offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, the highest paid offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL. He's gone 11 weeks into the season, 12 weeks into the season. That was well-deserved. He did not have a good offense going, and maybe Pete Carroll can save his job. The Jets at 31, that defense has really surprised me since they traded away their guys. They're playing a lot better than I thought they would. And the Titans still sitting there at number 32. They just can't quite get out of the basement. They only have half a win on the season in my books, and because of that, they are going to eternally rest at the bottom until they can play. But Cam Ward is playing good football. If you're just watching the box score, you're not going to see it. But Cam Ward's playing good football. It's not his fault. Not his fault, Cam Ward edition. Give him his flowers. Give him his credit. He's playing good football. He's not playing great football. He's not playing elite football, but he's playing good football with the weapons he has, with the offensive line he has. He is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. He's doing his best out there. He's really trying. There just isn't anything he can really do right now. But those are the bottom 5 teams in the NFL right now. If you had any teams that you wanted me to go over from this list, go and throw that in the comments. I'll give you a little rundown on where they sit on my 32-team power rankings. But we are going to move on to Thursday night football. Thanksgiving football, nothing better than some Thanksgiving football here all day long. We have an incredible slate of football. Let's start off, Mehrob, with the big one. The big one that is getting people's attention. We are talking the Chiefs against the Cowboys. The Cowboys and the Lions, of course, always play on Thanksgiving. That is the big tradition here. But the Chiefs coming in desperate. This game was going to be a big one regardless. It's expected by the Nielsen ratings to be the biggest and most watched game that's a regular season game in NFL history. That's what they're saying about this game, Mehrob. Everyone's going to tune into this one. This is a big one, a huge one even on Thanksgiving. The Chiefs currently favored by 3.5 points on the road in Jerry World. Tickets are going for $214. You paying that price to get in on Thanksgiving?
It's not even that bad.
That's crazy.
$214 is not even that bad.
That's the low price too. If you wanted to sit lower bowl, you're probably looking at 400, something like that. But this is going to be a big game. We kind of talked about it a little bit. The Cowboys defense is playing really well. They've been sitting in the top 15 since they got everybody through the trade and from injury back. This is a Kansas City Chiefs team that's fatal flaw is they can't run the ball. They just can't. They have no explosive runs. They got a little bit on the ground going last week. They got over 100 yards from Kareem Hunt last week. But the Dallas Cowboys have Dak Prescott. They have George Pickens, and they have CeeDee Lamb. Maybe the best wide receiver core in the NFL right now. Maybe. Could be them and the Rams probably battling for that title right now. Maybe even the Eagles in there. But lots of good stuff from either side of these teams. The Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and we saw that Patrick Mahomes magic flash last time out against the Colts. How do you see this game going, Mehrob? This is probably the biggest one of the day.
I think I honestly don't know how this one's going to go because the Cowboys are so unpredictable. They came out and had a great second half. If they can ride that momentum, I say that they're going to go out and beat the Chiefs by a pretty wide margin because the Chiefs quite frankly, don't, when they just take a look at their road record, do not play the best when it comes to playing on the road. They have a lot of wins against good teams at home. The Lions game at home, the Colts game at home. They don't play the best on the road. So I do think that the Cowboys can try and exploit that. And I would say I would pick the Cowboys to win this game. But of course, Patrick Mahomes is on the other sideline. That's what it comes down to. Andy Reid is on the other sideline. Rashee Rice is on the other sideline. The way that defense can get after you, especially when they smell blood in the water, especially when they smell Dak Prescott getting desperate with the football, the Chiefs could really give the Cowboys a beating and a good down to earth moment for them. But at the same time, the Cowboys can do the same thing. So I could see this game swinging both ways. But I'm rolling with the Cowboys to get it done.
Yeah, I see this game going one of two ways. I think the Chiefs are going to play like the Chiefs either way. They're going to play solid defense, and they're going to put up 25 to 32 points, somewhere in that range. They're going to put up that many points. The Cowboys are the outlier here. And more importantly, it's their defense. Their offense is going to show up. The question is, can their defense, especially their corners, shut down Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City offense? We just talked about how they're playing better right now, but are they going to be playing good enough in this game to slow down the offense? I don't know. I see either this game as a close win for the Cowboys or as a pretty big win for the Chiefs, because both of these teams come in desperate. I think the Cowboys, like you were saying, take this one. I think one of the big advantages is they're at home right now. On Thanksgiving, they're home. They can go home, see their family. That's a big thing at the end of this game. I'm taking the Cowboys. I think it's going to be a close one. I think I'm not laying that 3.5 with the Chiefs, at least. That's too many points. But I am taking Cowboys plus 3.5 on this one. I don't know if that means the Cowboys will win, but I do think they'll at least keep it close with how good that offense is with Dak Prescott. $323 to get into section 443 in that game. So that's some fun stuff right there. Let's go back to the morning game, though. The Detroit Lions always play just like the Cowboys, and they get a rematch of Week 1. Week 1, if you'll allow me to jog your memory against the Packers, that did not go well for the Lions. That game did not go well for the Lions. They got absolutely mollywopped in that one. They got absolutely destroyed in that one, and it looked like the Packers were the best team in football after a game like that. 27-13, shutting down a really, really good offense of the Lions, right? Ever since then, let's look at their offensive point totals. 52, 38, 34, 37, 17, bad game, loss against the Chiefs. 24, 24, 44, 9, bad loss against the Eagles, 34. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here, right? If that offense can't get going against some of these elite defenses in the NFL, that's going to cause some problems. The Eagles, 9 points. You know what happened? They got pressure on Jared Goff. The Packers, they put up 13 points in Week 1. You know what happened? They got pressure on Jared Goff. We can keep doing this, right? In the game where they only put up 17 points against the Chiefs got pressure on Jared Goff. There's a pattern. There's a weakness. There's a reason you can beat this Lions team, and there's a reason why this Lions team is not going to win the Super Bowl, and that's because Jared Goff is just not good enough at quarterback. He's good. He's very good,
not great,
very efficient, but he's a system quarterback, and this is not a system that is really designed with the quarterback in mind, which is cool. It's run game, but if you can shut down the run, you can shut down the pass pretty easy. So that's going to be the key in this one. Can the Lions shut down the run? Can the Packers shut down the run? I'm leaning towards no. I think the Lions get revenge at Ford Field in this one. They're favored by 2.5. I think they split the season series with Green Bay, but this one is huge for playoff implications because as we take a look at it right now, the Packers are in the playoffs. The Detroit Lions, not in the playoffs right now. Not in the playoffs right now are the Detroit Lions. Crazy. Both 1 seeds from last year not in the playoffs. The Lions currently the 8th seed, while the Packers are the 6th seed, 7-3-1 versus 7-4. Obviously, that tie is the thing that is keeping them in the playoffs right now. So shout out to them for that, I guess. Not really. They should have won that game. But this is going to be a big game, not just in the division, but for the playoffs as a whole. And I'm taking the Lions to even the season series against the Packers.
100%. I think this game is going to come down, is going to be burdened by the shoulders of Josh Jacobs. If Jacobs can play, I think the Packers have a realistic shot to win this game because I think they can shut down the run. I think they're that good. As that defense has grown enough since week 1 where I can confidently say that they can do it. But it's going to be on if Josh Jacobs can play. If Jacobs can't play, you cannot rely on Emmanuel Wilson to show up against that defense and be able to put up the numbers that he did last week against the Vikings. Which Vikings defense was not bad, but they're not the Lions defense. There's a big difference. Other than that, the last thing I want to say, you were talking about the playoff picture. The problem with the NFC is it's pretty much the North and the West. The fact that there's 4 teams battling for 3 spots, somebody's going to get left out between the Seahawks, Niners, Packers, and Lions, which is crazy. Somebody's going to be left out. Right now, the West has the lead with both of those teams in the West with 8 wins. Is it going to stay that way? That's where it's going to be it's going to be a hard fought battle for those 3 spots, but somebody's going to be left out. If I would hate to see it be one of those North teams.
Yeah, there's a lot to like in this game, but I also think that you can't really go wrong with any of those teams. I'm sticking with the Lions, though. This is going to be a good one. The last Thursday night football game, Joe Burrow makes his triumphant return from a gruesome toe injury, turf toe, that kept him out for most of this season. They return to face off with a big opponent. This is a divisional matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens come into this game on quite the win streak right now. The Ravens currently 5 games in a row they have won. They are looking to make it 6. They are looking to extend their lead in that division right now as they try and stay hot on this, a massive, massive Thanksgiving night for them. Lamar Jackson has been dealing with injuries, though. Is that concerning to you? Are you a little bit scared about how that's going to affect the Ravens' play? Because you saw that affect him a little bit against the Jets. He couldn't quite be as explosive as he was before. Something in that leg. He keeps missing a practice with a hamstring, with an ankle, with a toe, with a knee. It's different every week, but it's always something on the lower body. What do you make of that?
I think the same injury that was bothering Lamar, I just don't think he's 100%. I think he's going out there and trying to will his team to the playoffs. We have to remember, this was a Ravens team that was 1-5. 1-5 6 weeks ago. And since then they're on a 5-game win streak and are at the top of the AFC North. That's why they brought Lamar. That's why Lamar Jackson was rushed back to health, because they knew they had an opportunity to win the division. But he's not 100%. And he's going out there against a decent pass rush. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is nothing to sneeze at. And that Ravens offensive line is not very good. It's not horrible. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Lamar Jackson has been under pressure all year long. We saw it with the Jets. We saw it against the Browns. We saw it against the Vikings as well. He's just under duress. And if he can't get that run game going, this is another thing with Lamar. You have to learn how to throw the ball away sometimes, my friend. You can't just take sacks. You can't just be running around, hoping and praying for something to open up. Just throw it out of bounds. Go wait for the next down. But, yeah, I'm going to say the Bengals offense. Actually, I take that back, especially with T. Higgins' injury. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done. I think they have the firepower to do it. But I think the Ravens squeak out a win 27-24 in this one.
Yeah. Joe Burrow makes his return. I tend to agree with you that the Ravens are going to find a way to win this. I like the lower score. I don't know how Joe Burrow is going to be. I don't know how, that Ravens defense is going to be. Jamar Chase loves to play this Ravens team. He loves to do it. He always has good games against them. I don't know how Lamar Jackson is going to be. Derrick Henry probably going to get the ball a lot. That's something to keep an eye on. But this is not a great Bengals defense, and I trust Derrick Henry to break at least one big run against this team. Because of that, I'm going with the Ravens to win this one handily, I'll say. So here's what we'll do. Let's run through our Thursday night football games one more time. I'm taking the Lions minus the 2.5 here as well. Hosting Green Bay in the early game. I'm taking the Cowboys plus 3.5 on Thursday, the afternoon game, and then the night game. I'm taking Baltimore, but I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that -7. Cincinnati plus 7 overall on that one.
Yeah, honestly, some great picks. I'm gonna actually. I don't know the spreads off the top of my head. I'm not looking at the. Actually, I could probably find them.
Nah, don't worry about it.
I'm going to say the Packers. I'm going to take Packers at -2.5 in this one against the Lions. I'm going to say the Cowboys -3. I know it's +3, but I'm going to take the alternate and say -3 on that one.
Wow.
And then I'm also going to roll with you and say the Ravens +7, though, with the Bengals.
All right. I like it. Lots of stuff to love. A big football weekend as a whole. We got Black Friday games. We got Sunday games. Saturday games are coming up. Oh my God, we're going to have football every single day of the week. Cannot wait for that. It has been a big Wednesday in sports, but thank you everybody so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Triple Threat Show. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus and Mehrob Fatemi. We'll be back most likely on Friday. We'll play it by ear. We'll let everybody know whether or not we will be here after a Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holidays with your family, with your friends, wherever you're going. Have a great time. We will see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.